Live from Southern California, this is the Jim Rome Show.
Big welcome to the Jim Rome Show, presented by FanDuel. That's right, it's me, Adam Rank, back for another round here in the jungle. I know there's a lot of disappointment with a lot of you, but tough luck. I'm going to be here for the next 3 hours. A big thanks to everybody who joined me last Friday as I made my debut as a fill-in host of the jungle, something that had been in the works for about, 30 years. A guy who once called the Scrub Saturday Show was able to guest host the jungle. A guy who would drive to the Charlie Browns in Fontana or Redlands, whatever. It's all the same. Once you get into the 909, was sitting here hosting the jungle, a surreal moment for me. Even Jay Stu reached out to me. He was like, what's that like? I don't know. Listen, I feel like one of those career minor leaguers who spends the majority of their career just itching for a scratch at the show, and it finally becomes a reality. So it was a tremendous opportunity, and I'm very grateful to be here and given another at-bat here in this prestigious studio. Appreciate everybody who put that into motion for allowing this to happen. A big thanks to the crew, many of whom I worked with on the After Hour. So it was great seeing the band once again. We had a lot of fun on the After Hour. I'm not going to lie to you. It is some of those elements, though, we do bring back to this show. And that being said, is that there's going to be a top 5 list. That's right. The top 5 list today is going to be my favorite comedians of all time. This has been one that people have been asking about time and time again. When we were doing the After Hour, people kept asking, what about your favorite comedians? For those of you who are unaware, I actually spent some time regularly as a stand-up comedian. It was one of the things that helped me get into my spot that I'm at with the NFL Network, because they were looking for people to do fantasy football. This is back in like 2009 or whatever. And they're like, well, Rank, like you do stand-up. Would you want to go out there and do some things and go do your deal? And I'm like, okay, fair enough. I will go out there and do that. So this was one. So a lot of people asked about it. A lot of people, at least one, but a lot of people asked about it. And you know what? I always wanted to properly vet it. I didn't want it to be something that I just threw together. But I wanted to make sure that I put in enough time and enough effort. So we're going to do that today and get your guesses in. I would say, though, go ahead and guess. I know on the After Hour, we were always like, we would never like tease what we were going to be talking about. And you always just kind of sprung on you. So I'm going to give you a nearly 3-hour runway to figure out who my favorite comedians are. You should be able to nail 2 of the top 5. If you're keenly aware of the stuff that I do, it should be able to get to the top 2 no matter what. It's very easy if you think about it. And no, I'm not going to be including The Boy on this list. Somebody asked, what about The Boy? Even though he cracks me up daily, he's become that kid that does the most inappropriate things, and I laugh. I laugh at him. I know I shouldn't. I know it's wrong. I know the neighbors look at me, but The Boy, listen, he's hilarious, and he has a way with profanity. You know, like there are some people who are truly gifted and have an innate skill, something that can't be taught. Kind of like the way that I'm sure Earl Woods felt when he first put a golf club into the hands of his son, Eldrick. I get a similar feeling when my son just starts laughing out a string of profanity like a true poet. Kind of like, it must have been like how Beethoven's parents how they felt when they first heard him tickling the ivories. Am I overselling it? Is it wrong? And I understand. Don't save your text. I don't care. I don't want The Boy to have a pot. I know I shouldn't do it. I should really be upset about it. But the comedian in me says funny is funny. And I can't help. Laughing is laughter. Like you can't suppress it. And it's one of those things like, why are you laughing at him? It's like, cause it's funny. That's why. And it's always in the proper context. Some kids will experiment with vulgarity and it comes out disjointed, like somebody picking up an Xbox controller and just starts mashing buttons as they're trying to play Halo or whatever. This is perfectly crafted. Now, obviously he is learning from one of the masters. And by that, I mean me, of course, because every time that he says something that just flies out of his mouth, and I'm like, hey, where did you learn that? And he turns into one of those PSA commercials from the 80s where the dad catches his son smoking weed, and he's like, "Hey, where did you learn to do that?" And the kid's like, "I learned it from you, Dad.
I learned it by watching you."
By the way, how does the dad not know that the kid's gonna learn from this? Is he upset that he's stealing from his stash? Like, this dad's really that aloof? His dad's out there burning and then doesn't realize that his son is following up in his footsteps. Listen, I grew up in the 80s. I know all the parents who burned. There's no fooling me. Don't worry, your secret is safe from me. I'm just saying that is something that the dad should have known. And by the way, I guess this was a long explanation as to why the boy doesn't make the list. I know I veered off a little bit, but he might consider. He could get some consideration there. But that was something we'll be talking about in hour number 3. Be sure to hit me up on X with the platform. I'm going to say Twitter again. I'm sorry. I can't. It's as weird as saying the Willis Tower, or Willis. I don't even know. I don't even know what it's actually the real name of it is now. It's still the Sears Tower, doggone it. Like, that's just the way it's going to be. I know what it is. Get your guesses in. Favorite comedians of all time. I'm also on Threads. Have you not tried Threads? I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm just throwing out platforms. I don't know if there's an affiliation with the show. I apologize. Listen, I'm on all the social media channels. I'm not hard to find. And as many of you know, because you're watching this on YouTube, there is a Jim Rome show streaming live on YouTube. It's something that has been new, something that had been in the works. It's been an absolute game changer because YouTube is the way that a lot of people, a lot of kids consume content. I know my son, the boy, was actually asking me last night. He's like, can I get a YouTube channel? And I'm like, no, you may not. He's like, I'm like, what would be your YouTube channel? Like, what? Give me the pitch. Give me the elevator pitch of what? No, not him. Not him. I wanted to know his elevator pitch. He's like, Minecraft? Like, that's it. He's like, yeah. He's like, I'm sure he's so confident that he could just get 1 million followers. He's like, yeah, I would probably get 1 million followers to start. I don't think that it's that easy. I have my own YouTube channel, and I would greatly appreciate it if you would go check it out right now. As a matter of fact, the YouTube channel that I have, Adam Rank NFL, it's mostly Chicago Bears. It's mostly YouTube. You don't have to watch it, but you could subscribe to it. It would be pretty awesome. You can also find me on Instagram. Listen, I'm on every social media platform available. So if you want to find me at some point, you can. And as far as the show goes, you can also call, but let's be honest, I'm not taking calls. Nobody calls anymore. That's the big thing. Like, nowadays when people call, their first is like, what's wrong? Like, one of my best friends will call periodically. I think I talk to him on the phone maybe twice a year. And every time it's like, is everybody cool? Like, are you all right? Like, what's going on? Like, no. I just needed, my son saw you at Disneyland and wanted to know if he could come up and say hi. I'm like, yeah, of course. But still, it's one of those things like nobody calls. And by the way, I have so many things I want to talk about. We're sitting here. We actually, believe it or not, we do put together a rundown. And I have things that I'm like, oh, I'm going to want to talk about this. I'm going to want to talk about that. And so, yeah, I'm going to do a lot of that stuff. So you're probably just going to get me. And not really. We can look for, but we can talk some other time. By the way, Alex, it's good to see you back there. How are you?
Oh, hello, Adam. It's good to see you.
Yes, good to see you. I'm sorry. Let me ask you though. I wanted just to gauge the temperature here. When I'm talking about my favorite comedians of all time, I said the top 2 should be real easy to figure out. You have a guess as to who would crack the list?
Well, I have a guess of who I would like it to be, which is probably different than what it really is. As the OG himself, George Carlin, I think one of my favorite things, hey, this might be the first time I get to play Alvy's Jukebox. My favorite thing he does is when he goes in on guys named Todd.
Todd!
Is George Carlin one of those guys you're thinking of?
That's a really good guess.
Kyle. Soft names make soft people.
Oh my gosh. That Kyle. I love George Carlin. I'm not going to give it away. I'm not going to spoil one way or the other. I'm going to sit up here with a poker face. George Carlin, one of the most incredible voices in history. Somebody who his work still matters today. Like that's one of the things where you're like, yeah, like this. It still is appropriate for today. There's still lessons to be learned for today. So there is a timelessness to a lot of what George Carlin did. So that could be one of them. That could be one of the 5. It's not one of the. He's not in the top 2. But listen, I'm not saying that he's not on the list. I'm just saying that it's something that we could he make did he make the list? Did he not make the list? That is going to be something that we're going to have to wait for towards the end of the show. So as we're sitting here, as you're leaving your comments, now that you're all coming back from subscribing to my YouTube channel, leave your guesses in the YouTube comments as well. And it's funny too, because obviously you'll notice Tom is not here. And so this really just opens me up to run with my own poor instincts, because last week I know, sorry, Chalk. We opened the show last week with the World Cup. We had Brian Dunseth on the show, but don't worry, I still have some soccer takes to get here in short order. I have a lot of thoughts about what happened to the USMNT. I don't like United States Mutant Ninja Turtle. We got it. Can we find something else to do that? I'm completely over Christian Pulisic. I can't deal with him anymore. I know I'll get to this later. We're going to be talking. We've got some stuff. We've got an opportunity to talk about some men's soccer here later on. By the way, if you're watching this while you're also watching Belgium and Spain, be cool. Don't spoil it for me. I'm going to try to get. There's no way I'm getting through this. I can't help but look up. But I do want you to know too. We have a lot of cool guests joining the show today. Obviously, James Kelly will be here. Big Head Bets, presented by FanDuel. He last week came in here and was dropping some knowledge, and he was like, "Fade me. Make sure you don't." Like I think he nailed every single pick. He was on fire. He was so good, and so I can't wait to talk to James again. He's going to give us a lot of insight. We're also, I promised this last week. The possibility of discussing some fantasy football. And I want to be here and be available to people. As a lot of people might or might not know, I am in a league called the Scott Fishbowl, and Alex is also in this as well. This is something that it's from Fantasy Cares, and it's a fundraising thing. And a lot of people started their drafts in July, or July 1st, I should say, which to other people, actually, I think it was July 3rd, to be truthful, because it's on a Monday. A lot of people are like, that's way too early to be drafting for fantasy football. I don't think it's early enough. There is time to be talking about fantasy football. That time is right now. So I am looking forward to talking to my friend Patrick Claybon, who is going to be joining us here today. I don't know if you guys have had him on in the jungle before. If you haven't seen Patrick on the NFL Network, you are missing out. Because I feel like some of the best work that I've ever done in my life has been done with Patrick. And I've worked with some of the best hosts. You guys know Andrew Siciliano, Matt Money Smith, James Coe, just to name a few. Patrick and I go to another level. I don't know if you guys have ever seen Chill Bra. That is the one thing when I get stopped by people where they will, when people, they want to talk fantasy football, they want to bring up something, they always bring up Chill Bra. As a matter of fact, when I do cameos, and people will be like, can you do Chill Bra? I'm like, well, then you got to pay double because you got to have Patrick here doing it. But we're going to talk some fantasy football. It's a fun time. Alex, let me bring you back up. You've got a draft. Your draft, is it this Saturday or is it a week from Saturday?
It's a week from Saturday, the 18th. We'll be headed to downtown for that.
Okay, you and our friend Mike of Forward Team Apparel. Oh, no, am I giving out free plugs again? I'm so sorry. I can't stop myself. I know, everybody knows I've worn some Forward Team Apparel stuff on the show. I
couldn't do it for a nicer guy.
I did, yeah. So that's actually, I think that's where we met him last year, was we were just hanging out with him. And so you got your draft. So we'll be able to go out there and get us sorted, get you starting to think about that. Because I've noticed too, I do notice on my cameo requests, because those start coming in and people are like, yeah, we're doing our fantasy draft here. We're doing it there. So now is the time to start thinking about fantasy football. So if you do have a question about fantasy football, I think Patrick and I can sit there I'll ask him some of the things. We'll talk some basic strategy and some of the trends that we're seeing in the NFL right now, because as soon as this World Cup is over, then we will certainly focus our attention to the NFL. That's been one of the cool things about the World Cup, is that this time of year is typically the time when you're jonesing for NFL stuff. Like, what are we going to do? What are we going to talk about? What are we watching? the World Cup has totally taken over my life. Yesterday, there was not a game, and I didn't know what to do with myself. I was not prepared to go a day without watching competitive soccer, as you Americans like to say, and it was something that I don't want to ever do it again. But listen, speaking of the NFL, coming up after the break, here in a matter of minutes, we're going to be talking to NFL analytics expert Cynthia Freeland about the upcoming NFL season. Again, I've sort of turned this into me, just bringing on all my friends to talk about the NFL this year, and that's listen, we're just a few days away from it, and it's crazy too, because I don't know if it's my imagination or not. Like, NFL preseason just doesn't have the thing. But anyways, again, I heard the music. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm getting played out. In any event, Cynthia Freeland will be joining us after the break to go and talk about some of the other fantasy football stuff that is going on, and we'll be back right after this.
You're listening to The Jim Rome Show.
Welcome back to the Jungle. Our program today is brought to you by FanDuel. And joining the show right now is an NFL Network analyst whose predictive model is considered the best in the business. He's a native of Michigan, graduate of Boston College, and you can check out our podcast, Game Theory, right here on YouTube. Please welcome to the Jungle, Cynthia Freeland.
I'm so happy to be here. Rank, I love you, and this is incredible, but it needs to be like, when I started listening to the Rome show, it was like Cindy from Okemos. That's, I need to have, you need to throw it back to when we went by Cindy, which we don't do that anymore.
Okay, I'll do, let's go to Okemos. Cindy, welcome to the Jungle.
Perfect.
Have a take, don't suck. How are you?
I'm great. I feel like we're about to have that moment where we get shot out of a cannon and somehow it's like football season starts and then it turns into the draft. And then we get this like 5-minute break and then we go right back at it. I'm sure I can't wait to see all your different fantasy rankings. I haven't kept up on where they are yet because I haven't made mine and I'm actively avoiding all of my rankings right now because they come fast and hard and they never stop. So
it's so funny too, because typically, I don't know, for those of you who are aware, our media company has changed. So typically when we were a part of the NFL, but I'm saying we haven't been invited to that party yet. Like I wanted to, why are Field Yates and I not sitting here chopping it up about fantasy football? So I have all these fantasy takes stored up. I've got a lot of Ray Romano impersonations ready to go at some point. I don't know. I was sitting here this morning trying to work. It takes me too much time to get, No, I'll get there. I will get by the end of hour 3. I will. And by the way, this does not mean that Ray Romano is on my list of top 5 comedians. I just know that anytime Khalif Raymond scores a touchdown in the NFL, I text Cynthia to let her know Ray Romano, the Ray Romano drop of Ma. But Khalif Raymond is not going to be a bear. There's a lot of exciting things going on. But I should know too, like yesterday, Ray Romano was on the network. Nobody told us. I feel like that's very rude.
They probably were testing us to see if we were watching. And
right?
You passed the test. Some other people did not, but you passed the test. So I'm just saying, maybe that's like you get a bonus. I'm not sure.
I would hope so. Yeah, maybe they could expedite a process or two or anything like that. But yes, I passed the test. I should have been in there doing all this stuff. So you mentioned we're excited about the season. It's going to be a great year, obviously. But last season, the Seahawks, I'm not saying they were a huge surprise. And I think last year, your predictive model had the ceiling at right around 12 wins, which is, right where they fell. What are they looking at? What are we looking at this year from Seattle? Is this something that they're going to be able to maintain this season especially when you considered how well they played last year?
I think the NFC West is probably the hardest division in football. Okay, we'll do a little asterisk for the Cardinals, but I see strong cases for the Rams, Niners, and Seahawks all to be Super Bowl contenders. And maybe people are sleeping a little bit more on the Niners than the Rams or the Seahawks, but I still think all 3 of those teams, they have to beat each other up. So I'm looking at this and I'm saying it's going to be a really tough path back to the Super Bowl. But I do think it's most likely a team that comes out of the West, but maybe the team that wins. And when you're playing that first place schedule, it's much harder than if you're playing a 3rd or 4th place schedule, which they played the 3rd last year.
And my guy, Sam Darnold, I love him. San Clemente Sam. And can we now put it to rest? Like he's the guy. Like he's the real deal. I think we finally closed the door on that conversation.
I mean, the thing people kind of forget is that there aren't 32 qualified people to do the job that he does in the world. They're not. That's why we always have a problem in the draft. And we only know one person in the draft or maybe 2, and they're always quarterbacks, blah, blah, blah. But ultimately, I think that when you talk about a quality starter, to me, it's like, are you better than 16? Right. And this time last year, we did not have that answer. A lot of people were like, oh, Geno Smith, why'd you get rid of him, et cetera. Like I was probably amongst those. And I'm not an anti-Sam person, but I didn't know there'd be such a big upgrade. But you have to remember, if Clint Kubiak sees something and he's the one that was in charge of orchestrating what's going on and architecting what's going on, then you know what? Maybe we should all believe it, because it's all about that fit. The Bo Nix with Sean Payton, Patrick Mahomes with Andy Reid. Like everyone's a system quarterback until they are a strong enough quarterback to dictate the system.
Yeah, and he's done it at a number of stops now. Well, most importantly, going with KOC in Minnesota. So I guess that leads to a next question, too, because I'm trying to figure out who is going to be the starting quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. It doesn't feel like much of a competition. I think most people are just kind of conceding to the fact that it's going to be Kyler Murray taking over. But we've seen the track record of KOC, what he was able to do with Sam Darnold and got him to his spot in Seattle. Do we feel like this is going to be a bounce back for Kyler Murray?
I'd like to say yes, but I'm hesitant. Not because of Kyler Murray necessarily. It's not an indictment of his skills. It's more the fit and the bad habits. It might be the best way to do it. I don't know if they're easily sorted out in a more complicated system, which is what KOC runs. He's not asking someone to play yard ball. It's a complicated system with a lot of thoughtfulness put into it, a lot of, this looks like this. The disguise is what makes it look so similar in the beginning, and then it ends up being a totally different play, or it looks different in the beginning and it ends up being the same play. So I think a lot of that will be, does Kyler Murray have the ability to learn this offense in the time frame that will make the Vikings viable? And that's, I don't know. I mean, Justin Jefferson sure as heck helps. I would take him as my wide receiver.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah, no kidding. And it's one of those things too. And again, from the fantasy construct, it's one of those things we have to answer because we're sitting there doing drafts. I'm like, how do I evaluate Kyler Murray? Because it is easy to be like, well, KOC's done a great job with these other guys. It just makes sense that Kyler Murray would be able to go out there and do that. But at the same time, as you said, there have been questions about him and his work ethic. And things.
Well, that bootleg. Can we get that out of his game? Like, I have bad crutches in my game that my boss wants to get out of me. So my point is, if your crutch, if the thing that you keep coming back to is not something that is really a good feature of the KOC offense, that could be a problem. But again, maybe he's worked his way out of it. I just don't know. They've had mini camps, they're not even, their OTAs, they're not even at camp yet. So yeah. We'll see. We'll see if the time frame works.
Yeah, and I want to go back to the NFC West because you mentioned it a moment ago about the 49ers. Everybody's sleeping on them. How are they looking? Are they? I feel like they did really well considering everything with all the injuries. It's funny to me that the one guy who was not injured was CMC, the one that everybody was afraid of drafting in football, and so every player on that team gets hurt but CMC. But you have to figure that if the 49ers are healthy, they have to be considered one of the top players in the NFC.
I mean, to me, I think a lot of people are have penciled the Rams to return to the Super Bowl in LA. They love the story, etc. But I'm sitting here being like, even with half their team tied behind their back, injured, an arm, whatever, they're still a contender right up to the end, the Niners. And yes, Christian McCaffrey is a massive part of that. But now you get Fred Warner back. Huge help. Then you also get, a Bosa. I don't know. Let's just add some more pass rush there. And they seem to have addressed, I understand the wide receiver thing was weird for draft pundits because a lot of us didn't have the receivers that they chose ranked as highly as they did. But here's the thing I'm going to tell you. Kyle Shanahan has proven that if you give him a smart receiver, he'll make him look like $1 million or however many, 45 million, whatever the amount for a wide receiver one is. So we just have to trust that that's what he's earned our trust. He's a lying liar who lies. I say it all the time. Fibs to the media, but his ability to select wide receivers he's got a great track record. So we kind of have to believe him until we see otherwise. So I'm with you. I think that to me, now we can say this word. If I were a betting person.
Whoa.
The G word.
How do we bet? I've never experienced this in my 31 years as an NFL employee. This is all brand new to me. What is this gambling you speak of?
Right. Well, my point is, I think the smarter money would be on the Niners to win the division. I'm not saying I don't like the Rams. It's not an anti-Rams take. It's not an anti-Seahawks take. Right. I just think for the value and the return on investment, the return there is much higher for the Niners who are getting overlooked in the betting markets.
So if I can summarize what you just said a moment ago, Cynthia hates the Rams. Okay, good. That is going to be the headline that comes out of this. Cynthia Freeland,
yep.
Cindy, and what was it?
Okamis.
Okamus. Cindy and Okamus says Rams suck. Okay, listen, that's not how I feel about it. You know what's funny? When you bring up Kyle Shanahan, and you always talk about how he's a lying liar who lies. How amazing was it, though, when he came out and actually just said the quiet part out loud? He's like, the Rams are afraid to play us in L.A., so we have to go to Australia. I'm like, I got to respect you, Kyle. I was unfamiliar with your game, so to speak.
Well, it's like when he does drop the truth bomb, he drops that thing hard. It's not a little one here. It's not a little sprinkle. It's the full meal, the full entree, no appetizer, no, amuse-bouche. It's the full thing.
It's crazy. It just leads you to wonder what it would be like to actually get a conversation with him off the record, behind closed doors, maybe a couple of drinks so we can go out there and loosen the wheels a little bit, what he really feels about some things. I did have a question, though, about the LA Rams, because obviously they made a lot of great moves during the offseason. Everybody knows this. When you're doing your model, because again, this is predictive analytics, and how much does it favor the Rams when you base in, like, you got Myles Garrett added to a team that was already great? What does that do for their model?
Well, the thing that they were broken with last year, is a model term, right? So they're secondary, and they not just addressed it, but masterfully addressed it by taking two players from the same team, which it's all about the learning curve, right?
Yeah.
Shortening the distance between what's supposed to happen and what actually is happening. And when you have people who play together, in theory, at least, you are shortening that distance, right? So on paper, it looks amazing. Now, I think the thing that this whole season will come down to, injuries always, but okay, I'll put that aside, is their O-line. And that's where I'm curious to see if they've done enough. Now, I'm not suggesting that they didn't do a masterful job of they really did have one of the best off seasons, free agency seasons that I've seen. And it's hard to remember a better one, but O-line, especially with Matthew Stafford not being the youngest quarterback in the league, is super important. And the way he plays, I mean, I remember thinking, I saw Matthew Stafford run over 10 yards against the Seahawks in that game that mattered. I was like, holy smokes, that's like a 60-yard run from someone else, right? So you have to remember that this play style, he is a pocket passer. And I'm not using that in the pejorative. I'm not being negative. I'm just saying the play style would dictate that you really need to make sure that you're keeping him upright, protected. I saw him I'm a Lions fan, as you know. I saw him get beat up in Detroit and play through broken shoulder, collarbone, whatever, all these things, like his shoulder was dislocated. He'd still play. I'm not questioning his toughness. I'm just saying make it easier on the guy to get the ball to Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams.
Yeah, and it's interesting, too, because the Rams are obviously built to win right now, but then they draft Ty Simpson, which to me, you're trying to play both sides of the fence, it feels like. Maybe it's one of those things where look at what the Packers did with Aaron Rodgers and Jordan Love and everything like that. But at the same time, if you're going for it, why didn't they use that draft pick on somebody else? That's the one thing that really hangs me up about the Rams.
Well, I think this year the consensus was where they were picking, there weren't a lot of first rounders, right? So I don't think that they're sitting there being like, we forfeited the opportunity to get a top-notch first-round talent at a position of need. They had Trent McDuffie already. They probably knew a Myles Garrett scenario was likely or at least possible at that point, even though the Browns were like, he's never leaving Cleveland. But, they probably had those things kind of in the back of their mind, and they didn't think my guess is they probably didn't think that there was a first-round talent that was worthy of them doing that. And if you think about it, if they even think Ty Simpson's a potential third rounder, now you get that extra year of him having the potential rookies being in the rookie salary cap numbers. So now you can play with this contract as if he were a second or third rounder, so you're not, I think that would be my guess as to how they justified it.
Admirable job by you. I'm still not buying it. This is my thing. I did. I'm trying to think what they were thinking, yeah. Right? I don't know would I have done that? No, because my guy Cassius Howell, who I was like all about, was still on the board. I liked that kid. I thought he could have. I mean, the Bengals got him, and we'll see if they can do something with him. But I liked his game. I like just about everybody else's game, if I'm being perfectly truthful with you. But whatever, like, who am I? Who am I to question Sean McVay? And they've done just a masterful job of not only drafting, but just roster building, giving up picks, acquiring picks, doing what they do. They're one of the best teams in the league. Do I have time for one more question? Can I do one more? Well, don't give me one more. Thank you. Well, listen, we got Cindy from Okemos. Who is winning the NFC North? Everybody knows I'm a Bears fan. Everybody knows you're a Lions fan. We already trashed the Vikings. Who is winning the NFC North this week or this year?
Roar.
Don't do this.
You know what? You know what's great about playing a bad schedule? You get to play the easier teams. Ha ha ha. I mean, it's a hard division. I don't feel very strongly like my conviction about the Lions winning the division isn't like, whoa, it could really be anyone. I don't know what I think about I truly don't know what I think about Green Bay. I'm going to have to see. I don't know anything about their defense. I feel like it's not them. I don't think it's the Vikings. It could be between the Bears and the Lions when it comes to, not to say I don't believe in Kyler Murray, et cetera. And I do like the Vikings defense. I just don't know if they'll be able to get it together in time. I told you that distance between what you're supposed to be doing and what you're actually doing. I don't know if they'll be able to close that gap in enough time. And I don't know. So it's probably Bears or Lions, and the Lions have the easier schedule.
You know what? I'm not going to believe. I can't believe I'm going to say. I agree. I think it's those two teams. I think the Lions are good. I spend too much time on my own platforms talking about the Bears, being like, guys, the Lions are better than people think. Even though they were bad last season, they weren't bad. They just had some missteps here and there. They beat the Bears twice, but now you know what? Another year with coming together, the change at the offensive coordinator positions had helped them a lot. So I hate to say it. I think the Lions are going to be very tough as well.
I mean, look, I think that I just don't think it's as unfortunate as the Lions teams of long ago that I suffered through. I think it's as good as the Lions team that was one Kyle Shannonly half away from making it to the Super Bowl. I think it's somewhere in between. So I just went with the one with the easier schedule. I haven't done my math yet. We're not in training camp. They haven't figured out who the Terrion Arnold replacement is yet. There's some stuff that needs to happen. So until that stuff happens, I'm not going to make my, but I'm just saying, all things considered, a little easier schedule helps you out.
All right. Well, Cynthia, thank you so much for being here. It's an absolute pleasure. I'm glad we could get you on. I hope the people in the back keep the number so she can come back and be a guest once again. Even not when I'm just here, but whenever. So
when you're here, we love Rank.
You're a lot of fun. No, thank you so much.
So everyone knows who's listening, Rank's actually like the nicest person on the planet. Okay. Don't tell him I said that.
Roll in the music.
That head's going to get too big, but it's nicest ever.
Oh, you're the best. Absolute pleasure. I look forward to getting the band back together here for NFL Fantasy Live in the upcoming year. So can't wait for all that stuff to get started. Thank you so much for being here. Love you. And we'll see you real soon.
Sounds good. Bye, guys.
All right. There she goes. The great Cynthia Freeland of the NFL Network. Coming up next on the Jim Rome Show. Look at me. I'm wearing an Eddie Guerrero t-shirt. We're going to talk about some wrestling at some point today. We also might talk Star Wars. Who knows? Anyways, we'll be right back here just in a matter of moments.
You're listening to the Jim Rome Show.
It's time to Ask the Pros, where you, the clones, get to ask me a question, and it's sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Post your question at Jim Rome using the hashtag Ask the Pros on, who am I, Dean Martin all of a sudden? Ask the Pros on X. Be listening later in the show when I might answer the question. Be listening later in the show when I might answer the question. Let me to reiterate that again. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all of your auto care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. The YouTube chat is already popping off. Aaron in Iowa says Adam cranks top 5 NFL teams. The Bears. Not far from the truth. Crank. I might have mixed in Jacksonville. I have a soft spot for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Number one, I like Tony Khan. I am, again, a wrestling mark, so of course I love AEW. So I would, maybe number 4 would be Jacksonville, but still, I think the rest of this, Aaron, is pretty much spot on. Eric in the South Side, War V in the Fee, making ranks top 5 comedian list. He's not going to make it. He's very funny. He's done a nice job. But again, we've talked about this time and time again. He doesn't use his gift for good. He's funny. He's creative. He's presumably well-read. None of that comes up because he would rather just dabble in toilet humor. He's almost Adam Sandler in a way where he's like, he could be making punch-drunk love, but instead he wants to give Rob Schneider a career by going out there and doing Grown Ups 8 or whatever number they are. Like, listen, we're fine. You don't need to give Rob Schneider any more work or anything like that. He's fine. By the way, I know a lot of people get upset when Adam Sandler cranks those movies out, but you understand that one of the reasons why he does that is because it's not necessarily because he wants to go out there and do Grown Ups 4. It's the people, like, watch a movie and then watch the credits at the end. Like, how many people he is putting to work. Not just Rob Schneider, but people who actually deserve it. Who, whether you're a part of the staff, the production team, you're the key grip, you're the best boy, you're a makeup artist, whatever it is, people are working because Adam Sandler is willing to go out there and make these movies. So let him do his thing. By the way, also want to see one of those other, I don't know if this was on X or if it was on YouTube, but somebody was like, I'll be happy when when the World Cup is over. Listen, don't be that person. Don't be the person who has to go out of their way to not like something that everybody else is enjoying. Okay? Like, if you don't like it, then don't watch it. You don't have to announce it. And I bring this up because obviously, if you haven't figured it out by now, I'm a huge wrestling fan. And this week marked the 30th year of when the NWO was formed at Bash at the Beach, 1996, if I have that year correctly. It was incredible, an incredible moment that I still think about to this day, of Hulk Hogan going out there, Bobby the Brain Heenan asking, whose side is he on anyways? And that whole thing that went down. And so there's been a lot of reliving the past and people going over and what a great moment it was in professional wrestling history. And then, of course, because Hulk Hogan became or was or is so vilified that people are like, well, of course, Hulk Hogan had to go out there and steal the glory and work himself into the hottest angle in professional wrestling history, which, first of all, and listen, there is not going to be a person who's a bigger detractor of Hulk Hogan than me. That thing only works with Hulk Hogan. And again, if I wasn't guest hosting today, I would have been on with Brian Weber over the last 2 days. I would have brought this up at some point because it needs to be said. Like, you can be critical of Hulk Hogan, you cannot like him. You could actually be like, this wasn't the person that we thought that he was. This thing. So when you ordered NWO merch, which I obviously did, they gave you this poster. This was on my wall in the 90s as a functioning adult with a real job. I still had this up because I thought it was funny and I thought it was cool. As a matter of fact, if I still had it, it probably would be displayed somewhere. But it only works with Hulk Hogan. He wasn't joining the hottest angle. I mean, it was big because Scott Hall had come over and Kevin Nash had come over. It goes into good to legendary because Hulk Hogan is a part of it. Because for so many years, he was considered the face of professional wrestling. He was the guy who was the ultimate good guy who never, regardless of how you felt about him backstage or anything like that, but he never turned heel. He was always the guy who was the good guy, and whether that's how he was always portrayed. So when he came out there, it made sense that, hey, he's going to save Randy Macho Man Savage or whatever. But if you know, like, he's not going to save the Macho Man. And of course, it does bother me that he drops the leg on Macho Man. Like, that couldn't have been Sting. You couldn't have dropped it on Sting. But still, he goes out there and does what he does. But it had to be Hulk Hogan in that moment. I know there were some people, I think, playing, because they didn't know if Hulk Hogan was going to go along with it. Because a lot of these professional wrestlers who've been faces for so long refused to turn heel, John Cena being one of them until his ill-fated thing. And here it is. Here he comes walking out. I'm such an it. Remember, too, this was before the internet really took hold to spoil everything, because if you tried to do this now, everybody would have been speculating, oh, it's Hulk Hogan. I heard that it was Hulk Hogan. And he comes in right now. I remember marking out and thinking like, oh, man, I honestly thought Shawn Michaels was going to be the third man, that he was going to run out. And then this happens, drops it on Randy, because of course he does. Macho Man being my favorite wrestler of all time. But it's one of those things too, like, here it is. And it's just so incredible. And the crowd reaction was visceral. People are angry as he starts to do this. At some point, trash is going to start filling the ring. Bobby the Brain Heenan is sitting there, and here comes Sting. Yeah, bye, Sting. Nice effort, Sting. Not trying to save the Macho Man. But but this was incredible, and you're just watching all this unfold. And it was awesome, too, because, again, because the internet hadn't taken over the way that it has, you were able to enjoy this as just a spectacle of sport, and it was never the same. And honestly, for somebody who was watching the Monday Night Wars, you started watching Monday Night. Well, first when Scott Hall first showed up, we were watching Scott Hall and doing all that stuff and really enjoying it. And I loved Kevin Nash when he was Diesel back in the WWE. So I was already bought in. This was another one. Yeah, it was. Listen, the TV shows that you watch, also fake. I hate to break it to you. Demogorgons don't exist. A lot of these, they don't. No, everything is make-believe. That's the way that we do it. But in any event, thank you so much for indulging me on professional wrestling. I do appreciate it. Hey, when we come back, James Kelly is going to be joining us here for Big Head Bets. We're going to be talking about LeBron James. We're going to be talking about the World Cup, which is at halftime right now. So we'll be back in just a matter of moments. We'll see you here pretty soon. Welcome back to the Jim Rome Show, presented by FanDuel. Time now for FanDuel Predicts with James Kelly at Big Head Bets on an absolute heater from last week. He is joining us here right now. The man, the myth, the legend. Dude, you killed it last week with your World Cup picks. We will get to those in a matter of minutes, but first, how are you?
We have something in common, Rank, outside the after hour. Favorite wrestler of all time, Macho Man Randy Savage. I just heard that.
Oh, I love that we're aligned that way. It doesn't surprise me. We come together on a lot of things, including Jay Cutler, Randy Macho Man Savage. Like we got a lot of crossover, which that really makes me happy, I should say. But you're living well. You doing good?
I'm good, man. I'm doing great. You?
Oh, I'm doing great. This is an absolute dream to be able to be here, to be a part of the show, and having you on it makes it even better. So let's get down to it. LeBron James, I thought, at some point I thought perhaps we would be talking about LeBron James already being with his team, but he is not. Let's talk about his next destination.
Yes. FanDuel Predicts right now has odds up finally on this LeBron sweepstakes per se. A little bit different because of his age and all that kind of stuff.
Yes.
And of course, as you would expect, look who's at top. The Cleveland Cavaliers are the first pick for all the things. You can get them at, I think it's moving now. It was minus 190, minus 100. They are the favorite, followed by the Heat, the Warriors, 76ers, Timberwolves, a lot of different odds, a lot of different things out there right now. Of all the teams, a lot of them make a lot of sense, right? You can go one by one here. Cleveland, that's the one fan base that I still think actually likes this guy. It makes sense to go home and end it all in Akron, which I think he probably will from a basketball standpoint too. They don't have a lot of forwards outside of Evan Mobley there. It makes a lot of sense there in the conference final. They could probably compete lightly, I would say, if he does go there. Miami Heat, Giannis, Bam, those are fantastic defensive players to put behind him, play there. I just don't see that happening with Pat Riley going back to Miami, and they don't have enough depth probably to really be a contender there. The Warriors, unless AD gets there somehow, I don't see that happening whatsoever. The 76ers, though, Rank, that's an interesting one. I think we talked about it a little bit last week. They could compete. He's surrounded by Joel Embiid and Jaylen Brown and Tyrese Maxey. The worry there is, one, their depth, of course, two, Joel always getting injured. And obviously with Joel, Jaylen, Tyrese, and LeBron, dude, that all those guys love the ball in their hands, so that's a little bit off skirt there. But the odds themselves, not too surprising. What do you think on that?
No, I get what they're doing there, and it's funny too because I forget who it was, but somebody in Philadelphia, I believe it was, is already making the pitch because like the Philadelphia teams always seem to bond together, and so it was one of the. I don't know if it was Saquon Barkley or was somebody who was like, hey, LeBron, please come to Philadelphia. It would make a lot of sense. All three facilities, I think, are right in the same parking lot as well. So there does make a lot of sense. But the one that I really like, because I'm looking at it from an entertainment perspective, I love the way that Minnesota plays. I know it's the longest shot of the, 5 or 6 considered big ones. But I think Minnesota, from fun and like not a bad basketball destination too, I think I would love to see him in Minnesota.
Dude, I absolutely love that, right? I think there's a couple, if you look at it, the ball handling things a little bit. Ant and LaMelo were both top 10, I think, in usage rate this season. But Ant could play off the ball a lot more, right? They had to do that more out of necessity. And also, you have Rudy Gobert and Jaden Daniels, who could help LaMelo and LeBron defend as long as Ant. I absolutely love that one. I just don't know if he would go to Minnesota 1 and then 2 in the West. Is a little there, but I think if he did go there, I think they absolutely compete. I do got one dark horse here. I'm going to throw a conspiracy theory out there for you. You want it?
Yeah, I want it. Of course. I want to hear
it. All right. The Wizards, okay? Plus 1,900. Couple things here. AD is BFF. When he is healthy, which is the biggest question, he still could probably be elite somewhere around there.
Good, baby?
That guy right there. Second, Trae Young. Stock at an all-time low right now, but people always overreact at each season. He's 2 years younger than Brunson. He's the same size as Brunson. He has a similar game as Brunson. Just saying. AJ Debanza, huge upside, especially if he stays there for 2 years. Alex Sarr, another number 1 overall pick. He's a 5 who can protect the rim and shoot the 3, allow 80 to play the 4. Depth-wise, DeAndre Ayton's there. Kulo, I always mess his name up, but you know who I'm talking about. Kula Bali. Keyshawn George, and they have more depth there. Also ranked legacy. Legacy is important, right? Taking a 17-win Wizards team to the playoffs. I believe MJ came back down from the front office after a 19-win season, and he didn't make the playoffs in either of his 2 seasons playing. Also, his agency, clutch. AJ doesn't exactly have an agent. He could keep that agency going for the next 15 years if he works that angle too. Plus 1,900 too. And if all those guys are healthy in the East, they can win a playoff series.
Oh, I love this. I'm going to end up removing money from
back to plus 100, and you could do that without a doubt.
Oh,
he's probably going to go there, but dude, there's a lot here. I'm saying.
You know what? Honestly, like just mentioning the Wizards and the Michael Jordan angle of it, because when you said the Wizards, that's the first thing I thought of. Like, of course, if he could go out there and make the Wizards win when Michael couldn't, that would be for the Jordan fans, that, or for the LeBron fans, that would be the final case. That would be, you know what, this is it. This is my final summation right here. But as you sit there and break it down from a basketball perspective, there is a lot of reasons to believe the Wizards could be that team. I'm in. I'm all in. I'm with you. Yes, sir.
Yeah. And dude, if Debanza starts getting better, and especially by year 2, this isn't like, because remember when he went back to Cleveland, that was 2014. Andrew Wiggins was there, but he flipped him for Kevin Love because he wanted results immediately. Well, AJ is way further along than Andrew Wiggins ever was. And by that first year, second year, he's playing good right now. It's Summer League. It doesn't count. But, dude, they have some more depth as well. They got more depth than some of these other teams do. I know they only won 17 games, but they have 4 or 5 guys that actually could play when all these AD injuries happen. And if Anthony Davis is healthy, Trae Young healthy, just something out there.
I love it. I'm all in. I'm gonna start bringing this up at parties, at gatherings. As we're sitting there talking about LeBron, I'm like, I'll give you one. I will give you full credit, of course. I have no problem with that, but that's a great call. Love the idea of LeBron going to the Washington Wizards. All right, let's shift to the UFC. Help me out here. I'll be honest with you. I need some help here with the UFC. Where are we going with the big UFC 329?
Yeah, it's the return of the notorious Conor McGregor, the biggest ticket in the history of combat sports, probably the greatest mental warfare athlete of all time. He makes his return against Max Holloway. Bitch. That guy right there. Ibuprofen too, Alvin. Find that one. He comes back for the first time to the date. 5 years ago today, he freaking snapped his leg in half against Dustin Poirier. For the last 5 years, he has done he's done nothing in the octagon. Max Holloway has kind of had some of the biggest fights in the history of the sport over the last 5 years. He is the favorite. FanDuel has him as a minus 223 favorite, and Conor McGregor is now up to plus 212. That is his biggest underdog number in the history of Conor. Do you follow UFC? Did you ever? I mean, Conor, nobody could sell like Conor. Conor was absolutely elite in the game, without a doubt. He was a double champ. He won 2 belts. His strengths are his stand-up. That's kind of where Max goes. These two also fought like 10 years ago, and Conor beat him. But that's when Conor was locked in. He hasn't done much of anything, like I said, for the last 5 years. So Holloway is kind of the big favorite here coming up. Are you going to watch it?
Oh, yeah. I'll be sure to watch that. It's one of those things, too, where there are certain people that bring you to the sport, so to speak. And I think regardless, and it's one of those things, too, like you either want to see Conor McGregor fight or you want to see him get beat up. And I think a lot of people fit into this. Honestly, the last time, and I hate to do this, but, you know, everybody knows I live in Huntington Beach. Nothing makes you more popular than walking into one of the local UFC bars in Huntington Beach and wear a CM Punk t-shirt. It goes over with the crowd. They really enjoyed my presence there But yes, I might for my own personal safety, I'm gonna have to watch this at my home. But yeah, we'll be dialed. And it's funny too because anytime you get somebody like Conor McGregor, everybody knows who he is, so people are putting money on him. But it feels like they're just throwing money away because we've seen this time and time again. These guys coming out of retirement, and it's just so hard to replicate.
It's so hard. So the one thing he does got an advantage here, he's naturally bigger than Max. They did fight at 145. That was several years ago. Max isn't a big guy. Conor walks around, I'm just guessing, at 200 and some pounds, right? So he's coming down to 170. This is the first time Max has ever fought at 170. He usually spends his time at 145. He's been a champion there for a long time, off and on. And then at 155, you spot the legends there. But to come up to 170, it's the first time Max has ever done it. So again, Conor has the advantage there. He's stronger. Now, Max also, there's a famous highlight in the sport, obviously, when he pointed in the middle of the ring and he knocked Justin Gaethje cold. You've seen it. We've all seen it. If he does do that with Conor, that's Conor's strength too. He could stand there. He's a better stand-up fighter than most anybody ever in the history of 155. He can knock him out, but I think because of the added muscle, and everybody always forgets this, muscle tires fast.
Yeah.
If Conor wins, I think it'll be inside of a round or a round and a half to finish Max, but he better do it then, and Max just better play smart, and he should win the fight. So what I'm going to do, and I said this a couple of weeks ago when we talked about it with Jim, Paddy Pimblett is fighting also, probably the second most polarizing athlete in the UFC as far as fan bases go. He's incredible. He's on the same card. He's an underdog. I'm going to take him and Max Holloway, and I'm going to get plus 226 on FanDuel Prover for a little bit of a parlay action here.
All right. Consider it done for me as well. Let's talk about the World Cup. Last week, again, you did a really nice job of breaking this down. I love the England side. I did not like their game in front of when they played Mexico. I thought that they were playing. I don't know. I wanted to see a little bit more scoring output, but of course, Bukayo Saka, Jude Bellingham went out there, erased all those doubts early. They beat Mexico. Now they've got Norway. People love Norway, obviously.
Norway.
Well, everybody is falling in love with Martin Odegaard, so that's been a big. Oh, I'm sorry, or what? The Holland guy, too.
Alan, yeah.
Whatever. Nobody likes him.
Yeah.
I say as an Arsenal.
Thank you, Alan.
Which way are we going with Norway, England?
Well, I'm thinking high scoring, right? England scored 11 goals in 5 games, Norway 12 goals, not a lot of defense on either side. I took England to win the entire thing. Yeah, not the smartest choice right now with the way France is playing. But I'm going to take it is a high number. I'm going to go minus 186. I'm going to go England here to win this game.
No, I agree with you. I got caught up into the whole thing of the altitude and all that stuff. But when I saw the buses come in Mexico City, and it's funny, you're never going to intimidate the English players because, like, dude, they play in Europe. They're not. I know. You know, you're not going to intimidate them. So I actually was like, oh yeah, they're going to win this one. So England looked great. The other match, of course, is going to be Argentina and Switzerland. This is one where it's like, you know what? We watched the NFL for so long, and you're like, when teams are going up, when a team like Switzerland, I don't know what the NFL equivalent would be.
Neither do I.
It's like if, I don't know, if Jacksonville is going into the NFC. Oh, yeah, that's perfect. NFC Championship game when Jacksonville played New England, you knew, like, Jacksonville, if you do not play the perfect game of football, you're getting no help from the referees. No, you have to play amazingly. I have to believe that Argentina walks easy in this one.
I mean, it's a big number, right? It's minus 285. Everybody's going with Argentina, I think. Dude, obviously we know it starts with Messi. Pretty much everything runs through him, 9 goals at 39. Here's a quick question for you. Maybe we can just circle back to it. Who's more impressive at their age, Messi or LeBron? It has to be Messi, right?
Absolutely. I think that Messi has been carrying this team. If LeBron had carried the Lakers to the NBA title this year, I would be like, yeah, okay. Messi, regardless of what you've thought about the call and things of that nature, what Messi is doing at his age is absolutely unprecedented. I look at it too, and it's like people kind of assumed coming into this year this was going to be his final World Cup. I'm like, I'm not willing to make that proclamation anymore.
Yeah, because everybody kind of started saying from his Miami days, he's not top 5, not top 10 player anymore in the world and everything like that. And I think that's what this World Cup has done. It's kind of, dunked on LeBron per se, as far as like legacy at an older age. It's impressive, all that kind of stuff. For the game, here's what I'm thinking. All right, I know it's not going to work, but here's how it could work. And you fix me because I know nothing about soccer. How the Swiss could pull this off. One, you have to be strong through the middle of the pitch to stop or slow down Messi. We know that. Switzerland is. Their D is really good. 3 goals, I think, through 5 matches, and then some because of the penalty kick against Colombia, I believe. 2, make the wide areas, beat them. Argentina has not originated a lot from out there. If Switzerland can score first, I think they could do it. Let's go plus 270 with Switzerland right here.
Let's do it. Well, my guy Granit is playing for Switzerland, so I still have a lot of affinity for him, even though he doesn't play for Arsenal anymore. So I'm with you. I would love to see it. I just, again, after watching what happened with Egypt, I'm not going to assume anything right here. We do have like 30 seconds.
Okay, 30 seconds.
If you want to crack off an Angels thing, but we got a guest coming up. So what do we got?
Okay, we got it last week. We're going to do the same thing again here. We're going to go over with the Twins, 9.5 runs. Good pitching matchup on paper, but I don't see it happening tonight. Minnesota's 6th in baseball in runs. Anaheim 14th, but 4th most scored on the road. So let's go with the Angels and Twins over 9.5 here.
I love it. All right, mark it down. There he is, Big Head Bets at Big Head Bets for FanDuel Predicts. James, thank you so much for being here. Don't be a stranger. I will reach out to you. Let's keep up the communications until, even though I won't be
Absolutely, Rank. We got to do it. We got to do a little wager. 49ers or Bears, more wins. I got 49ers. You got the Bears. Let's find out.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you soon. There he goes, the great James Kelly. When we come back, we're going to be talking some more football with Patrick Claybon of the NFL Network. You are not going to want to miss it. The Jungle, the Jim Rome Show, presented by FanDuel, rolls on. We'll see you here in a couple of minutes.
You're listening to the Jim Rome Show.
Welcome back to the Jim Rome Show, presented by FanDuel. The NFL season is closely approaching. So joining the show right now is one of the faces of the NFL Network, where he serves as the host for the NFL Insiders and NFL Fantasy Live. And he was a two-time Alabama State decathlon champion, and I bring that up just because I think it's really cool. Please welcome to the show my friend Patrick Claybon. Of course, listen, I got to put you over. That still amazes me to this day. I still don't believe that. I mean, I obviously believe it's true, but it's like pretty incredible. How are you, by the way?
I'm great. As I creep closer towards the grave, it becomes even more amazing that I was ever able to accomplish anything athletic. Like, we're going back to high school. It's like ultra super senior mode for me to say it. So when I can get you to say it, that's a championship in and of itself. So it's great. Good to be here. Good to be with a new group of people who I can also disappoint. So glad to have this chance, man.
Not at all. One of the cool things, too, is we'll be on the NFL Insiders later today. This is kind of like that moment where Rick Rude showed up on Raw and Nitro on the same day. I feel like we're going to be doing kind of that stuff going on moving forward today. But can you believe that the NFL season is approaching? Like, it feels weird when I just saw, it's July 10th. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're getting ready to start again. Are you getting fired up for the NFL year?
Yeah, I am. There's so many distractions available. LeBron still doesn't have a team. There's an entire World Cup that's literally taking place like 650 feet from where I am right now.
Right.
There's so many other things that are able to distract us from the ever encroaching NFL season. But we're sharks. We swim and we eat. That's what we do. And the fact that football is ever present in our lives, I think, like that, a lot of that is the league and the way that it approaches the circumstances. But after, the entire navigating the sale and all that to still be affiliated with the league, I'm just glad to have this chance to be talking NFL with you, Rick. So it's always there. It's ever present. But I think the cycle of the league is so cheesed up now at this point. And, we had a small role in that. So let's keep it going.
A little bit. Yeah, I know. I'm as guilty as anybody of like always trying to find a way, but you can tell like the NFL is watching the World Cup right now. Like, how do we get in on this? And like, some people are better than others of injecting themselves in the conversation, either positively or negatively. The NFL is not trying to find a way like, hey, we're not going to do grass anymore or whatever it's going to be. But you know what? You gave me a great idea because, listen, they can watch us talk football all the time. Maybe we'll talk a little fantasy. I did promise we would talk fantasy, but I guess you know what? I guess this is. But you mentioned LeBron James. We just had James Kelly on of Big Head Bets, and he was talking about the LeBron James sweepstakes and what teams make sense. What is your feel? I want to get your feel. Like, listen, I know that I'll ask you about Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs here in a second. Listen, this is your opportunity to come out here. I always embellish these moments where you're like, oh, I don't have to necessarily talk about the NFL. I can actually talk about other things that I like. LeBron James, though, where do you think he's going to end up?
Well, my massive connection to LeBron being approximately the same age, and that really being it, is just thinking and navigating this whole process and how he's done it a couple of times now and how arduous that could be. A big part of me believes that maybe he's recognizing that, how much longer does he want to do this? And if that's the case, either just, get a press release, have an episode of The Barbershop to say, everybody's done. Bronny and Bryce will be there, his beautiful wife and daughter as well. But also, if it is a chance for a farewell tour, then Cleveland, basketball-wise and LeBron-wise, probably makes the most sense. So if there's a way for them to get that done, I think that would be the way that I'm feeling right now in terms of the way things could go. But there's so much involved. There's so much involved. Right? It could go not any particular way, but I would lean Cleveland in that capacity here on June 10th. July 10th.
July 10th. Yeah. It's funny, too, because I'm the same way. Like, of course he's going to Cleveland. Like, this is like, of course. It's just like one of those things where, like, we're going to redo it again. We're rehashing the same thing. It's kind of like Star Wars Episode 7. Like, hey, we're just going to make New Hope again. We're just going to change a couple of the pieces.
If only.
I actually did like Episode 7. I know we differ on Episode 8, but it feels there's a lot of that where you're like, yeah, we're just going to go with the same thing. We're going to go with the same plot. We don't have Jim. Maybe if Jim Gray shows up on The Barbershop, perhaps we can have this all go first circle that way. But James Kelly was here. And he brought up this conspiracy theory, which I actually thought was I'm like, you know what? I kind of like this. What if he goes to the Wizards? Like, what if he's so petty, he wants to be like, Jordan didn't make them a playoff team. I'm going to make them a playoff team. And basketball-wise, not the worst destination out there.
No, it would make sense if LeBron were spectacularly petty in that capacity, to the extent that I think Michael was, where and a lot of that was about massaging this attitude and this. It's like, oh, well, like you have upset Michael Jordan, so now Michael Jordan's going to try harder at basketball. I think he was going to do that. Anyway, the Washington thing may have been an example of extraordinary hubris on part of a person who had acknowledged and understood he was the greatest to ever do the particular thing that he did. I don't think that's LeBron. I really don't. He may play another season's basketball more for Bronny and Bryce than he would for himself or for people watching. And he may announce that it's going to be the last season more for people watching, because he is kind of intrinsic to the game at this point. I know it's like, oh, wow, you're really selling us on LeBron here. No, it's LeBron James. He's been doing this. There's kids playing in the World Cup. Like Balogun did the silencer celebration. The first time LeBron did that was 2013. Balogun was 10 years old in England. Like he has that impact there. And so I don't really think the pettiness is anything that motivates him at this point, as much as it behooves me to, shoot down somebody else's conspiracy theory, because I'm, sad and empty inside, and all I can do is crush other people's joy of things that may not necessarily be true.
15 minutes ago, I was all in on LeBron James going to the Wizards, and now I'm like, that was dumb. I got caught up in the motion. I got caught up. This is how easy it is to sway me, apparently, because I'm like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. It's always the reality. Like, you're like, yeah, that makes sense, because LeBron is a lot of things. But yeah, petty doesn't necessarily seem to be one of them. All right, I stand corrected. Let's move back to the NFL. Wait, listen, they got the top 100 coming out. What do you? We're not NFL media anymore, so I guess we can trash it. No, but wait, the top 100. I always love when it comes out and they're like, Jordan Love is number 72. And everybody's like, these clowns, who are these people who are making this list? You're like, I don't know, the players. It's not me. Where do you come out on the top 100 list and those things?
Well, I don't necessarily think the players who provide the rankings are going, they're sitting down there in the lab with a pen and a pad, like 100, and they're going through PFF rankings to do this. These guys have relationships. They know the way certain things behoove them, but a lot of it comes from the fact that they are fans of the game as well. They know who they appreciate, and you tend to see the general view of who feels the way that they do about players just because they're able to watch. They're able to watch them. They have to get in the film room and understand. And the player rankings, the top 100, I'd take that over any, and again, like these are a lot of our coworkers now, but the anonymous GM rankings, like the anonymous personnel rankings, where you ask some people that you're connected with in a general field to be like, hey, what do you think about these guys? And then you get these responses that are anonymous and they're all that. I trust the top 100 way more than I do those other things, because we don't know who these people are. Like, I'm a league source. You're a league source, Adam, right? Like, there's so many people, who are close to or affiliated with the league or a particular team. It could be anybody, and not to, shoot down somebody else's work there, but I lean top 100 ahead of those things any day.
All right. I mean, I do kind of like the way that the players, because it is a players list, I just like the idea of finding out who the players think is good and what that means. Obviously, Caleb Williams has not shown up on this list. I'm expecting that he's going to be, which means the players in this league like the guy that you like. And you're like, okay, I can feel pretty good about that. So, it is a nice little validation in some respect. But then when Jordan Love's 72nd, I'm like, see, nobody likes him. That's where I also get to come out and be like, listen, that's what it means. Let's talk about quarterbacks. You're a huge Lamar Jackson fan. And when we talk about the best quarterbacks in the league, how do you set that aside? Because I know it's tough. There's usually a conversation of it's Patrick Mahomes, it's Josh Allen. I don't think Lamar gets enough credit. Similar to you, I know you're a bigger fan than I am. I love Lamar Jackson. I was going crazy in the NFL Network newsroom years ago when the Saints moved back into the first round because I thought they were moving back into the first round to get him, and they obviously, spoiler alert, they didn't. I don't think that he gets enough credit. I love Lamar Jackson. How good is he? That's a dumb question, but like, how good is he?
Well, I mean, he plays the position, the MVP season he played at a historic level. The year that Josh Allen won the MVP, because there was voter fatigue. A lot of it that, it's a problem with the MVP award in general. Somebody wins a couple of years. The second year, you have to be better than the first year. That year, Lamar was the statistical anomaly playing the position. And they excelled, offensively in terms of creating explosive plays to an extent that we hadn't seen before. And I think he has consistently done that. He's the league's all-time leader in rushing at the quarterback position, while also having the highest completion percentage in NFL history, where the stats only tell so much of the story. There's also the cultural impact among certain communities. And I'm not just making this exclusively, because, folks aren't a monolith in this country, but there is this group of people who can appreciate Lamar Jackson, and there's this group of people that holds on to an odd critique about a game that isn't really played that way anymore. And so you may have one group of people that perhaps overrates the capacity that he can have to change a football team, and another that it just refuses to acknowledge it. And I think that's a part of what makes Lamar so supportable for other people, is because there's a non-standard way that he goes about things. Even navigating the agent process in the NFL draft is a source of huge critique for Lamar, where you get to the point now, coming up on a decade later, where 3% of 230 million becomes a pretty significant number. And so he came out on the right side of that. But we just finished talking about LeBron James, and there's still people that are exceedingly critical of him, and will always be. And so, just for those who evaluate quarterbacks, you have to excise all of that and just say that there's a group of them in the NFL right now that are very, very good. And if the circumstances change, any one of them could win. But we just saw Justin Herbert finish a run with having Greg Roman as his offensive coordinator. We'll see how Jackson Dart does with Greg Roman, as a part of that offensive staff there in East Rutherford. But sometimes the circumstances impact the way things go. And, ranking them is always difficult for me, because it's the consummate team game. But there's a group that does this better than anybody else, and Lamar Jackson's in it, as far as I'm concerned. And I think anybody that would not make that case, I don't necessarily know that they're dealing in good faith.
Yeah, and they also expose themselves as somebody who should not be taken as a serious person if you are not putting him amongst that group or amongst that elite group. And it's tough, and it is tough making some rankings. And I know that I promised some people that we would talk a little bit of fantasy football. These are the tough things that we have to do, because we have to come out and say, hey, there's really two great football players at the top of the fantasy football list. We've got to make a decision, because you don't get to draft both of them. So let's say you're sitting there at 1.01 in your fantasy football draft. Who are you taking?
If I'm at 101, a lot of times league settings may determine things, who I'm drafting with, because if I'm taking Bijan, maybe I got another chance to get back in certain places. But I think I go with Jahmyr Gibbs in this particular draft, because removing David Montgomery from the process shows how these two things aren't necessarily in a similar spot. Because I know Tyler Algier will have an impact on Bijan as well in a new offense, but we know how the Lions are going to operate. The continuity is there in the staff. We had Dan Campbell step in and call plays. I think that may influence the Jamison Williams over Amon-Ra St. Brown situation a little bit. But as far as Jahmyr Gibbs, this is his team. He is everything you want in terms of a pass catcher and a guy who can make explosive plays in the run game. I think he's my number one overall pick.
Oh, okay, so the top headline from this: Patrick Claybon hates Bijan Robinson. That's the only way.
Bijan Robinson, horrible player, person, quote, Patrick Claybon.
Don't let them clip that. That's not. We can't say that. But it's so funny, because you can't have one way. It's not like they're Smash Mouth or something like that. These are legitimate choices. No, I'm just saying, not that there's anything wrong with Smash Mouth. I'm just saying nothing.
I have enjoyed several performances in the Food for Less parking lot.
How many times
Smash Mouth was one of them.
Been walking by and been like, I didn't know Smash Mouth was playing today as I was going in to get my box discount of Cheerios. Things happen and they just show up. Like, I didn't know. I did not know it was going to be that way. Do we have time for one more? What do we got? What are we looking at? What? They're like one. Like they shake their head. Like yeah, one more. We'll allow this.
Oh, okay.
Who is going to be the Rob Schneider of fan? No. What about a dark horse? You know what? Let's go back to a team. Last year we saw some surprising teams. The Chicago Bears surprised a lot of people. The Jacksonville Jaguars surprised a lot of people. Do you have a dark horse team this season who could surprise a lot of folks going into the 2026 year?
I'll throw a cheat code in there. It's the NFC South.
Ooh.
It's the NFC South. And I know everybody's like, well, the division's bad. They were all in the same spot. I think everybody has improved. Everybody's gotten a chance to be better. If I step outside of that, it's Tyler Shuck and the New Orleans Saints, the way that they finished the season. It was fun to watch. It was fun to see. I think especially, I'm on the clock right now, Scott Fishbowl. As soon as I hop off this, I'm taking Tyler Shuck, having him as my quarterback too, because it's, I think the opportunity there, the rushing upside is crazy. And it's just fun to watch. And I lean towards teams that are fun to watch. So I'm looking at these Saints.
So Patrick Claybon also likes fun. Another big thing that we got coming out of this. Well, listen, thank you so much for being here. I know this was your jungle debut, and really appreciate you joining me. And for anybody who enjoyed this, and how did you not? We're going to be on at 7 Eastern. Can I say that we're going to be on the NFL Network at 7 o'clock Eastern? It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I already said it.
Yeah, it's right over there.
There it is.
The set. We're doing it. We're doing TV.
All right. Well, Patrick, thank you so much for being here. We'll see you in a couple of hours, and be good. Have a good day. And that's it. That's all I got. Fancy
Thanks, man. See you later.
There he goes. The great Patrick Claybon, one of my favorite people at the NFL Network. He's hilarious. He's a lot of fun. So anyways, we're going to be talking about the Angels when we come back. Oh, the hits. I'm playing the hits, everybody. The Jim Rome Show rolls on right after this.
You're listening to the Jim Rome Show.
Welcome back to the Jim Rome Show, presented by FanDuel. Great show here today. Having a lot of fun. For those of you who are unaware, I am fulfilling a lifetime achievement here by being a co-host or a guest host of The Jungle, a show that I've been watching for quite some time. It goes all the way back to the Scrub Saturday show, all that stuff. I remember when Jim, the night show didn't have a fifth hour because Larry King, they ran a syndicated Larry King show. And listening to the Mighty 690, you would listen to Larry King selling his show like, hey, I read the sports page first every day. That's a terrible Larry King, by the way. I don't even know who I'm impersonating there. Hello, Portland. Hello. Am I getting closer? Oscar the Grouch, maybe. I don't know. Sometimes it's just a angry internet voice. But Larry King was like, yeah, I read the sports page first every day. And it was, okay, nobody wants to listen to Larry King. We enjoyed listening to The Jungle. We loved it because it was a local show. It felt national. Now, this is before, Omaha and Crapchester and all those places. This was truly a local show. So we would go on and talk about our local teams and everything like that. And I remember, winning Huge Call of the Day a number of times. And every time that I would win, it would usually stem from something that I would be saying about the local teams, including the Angels. Because back in the, thank you. Oh, I'll never forget. The first time that this happened, I was in, so I didn't start calling till I was in college. Then I was brave enough to go out there. I'm like, okay, I'm going to try this. And there was a phone booth that I would go into. I actually wrote notes on it. You'd be on hold for so long. I would write notes, leave notes, like a little script, almost like a rundown for the call that I wanted to do. And I remember one of them, I believe it was the first, I do know. The first one was after the Angels traded away JT Snow, which absolutely gutted me. And I went on some sort of rant, did my thing, was talking about it, talked about how there was a room in Angel Stadium, Anaheim Stadium, where Buzzy Bavasi and Georgia Frontiere would hang out with Ray Craig. Actually, I don't even think Ray Craig was a part of the show yet, but I made reference to them smoking funny cigarettes, coming up with who could make the dumber trade, that being JT Snow. I can't even remember what the trade was for, but it was awful. And I remember being there, and towards the end of the show, I told my friend, we were in a 2-bedroom, and I go, hey, if you don't mind, and we were on the second floor when I said this, I said, if you don't mind, can you tape the end of the Jungle today? Because I might win Huge Call of the Day because I feel really good about it. And he goes, it was a friend of mine. His name was Mark Caviston, probably still is. And he goes, if you win Huge Call of the Day, I will jump out the window. And then they did the whole thing. Let's go to Fullerton, Adam. And he's like, oh my God. He wasn't recording it because he's an idiot. So he had to run into his room. He's doing it. And he never did jump out the window. But this is just a long setup for the fact that I have been talking Angels on this show for a long time. And something struck me the other night. And it wasn't the fact that the Angels blew another lead or anything like that. No, this actually had to do with the Dodgers. Now, the Dodgers, they're fine. They're a good team. They've done well. They're okay. But the fact of the matter is the Dodgers all of a sudden show up. There's a raccoon on the field. I mean, what is going on with this? Obviously, you have Shohei Ohtani, who just hit his 300th home run. 171 of those came with the Angels, by the way. So funny to me. So many, if I could just tell you the number of Dodger fans who, for years, told me that Ohtani was overrated. Oh, he's overrated. Who cares? He sucks. And then when he got close to free agency, I noticed that they started changing their tune. Oh, all of a sudden they're like, oh, Ohtani's pretty. Oh, now he's good. Now when we're sitting here having conversations about the best players or the best players of all time, I'm glad the Dodger fans have finally joined me in talking about Shohei Ohtani. You ignore all that stuff. But again, on Tuesday night, a pair of baby raccoons wandered onto the warning track after finding their way onto the field, afraid of the bright lights and the crowd at Chavez Ravine. They squeezed underneath the outfield wall while stadium personnel tried to safely remove them. Of course, the internet immediately fell in love. Oh, there they are. Millions of people.
Field at Dodger Stadium on a warm one. The beauty of being outside, wildlife doesn't care that there's a baseball game going on. We've got some raccoons on the field. Don't worry, the best people are on it to make sure these two make it out of the stadium safely.
So stupid. Millions of people. Endless social media posts. Oh, baby raccoon stole the spotlight from Otani's milestone. Fans joking that the trash pandas were just trying to get front row seats to watch baseball's biggest star. Isn't that cute? Two raccoons running loose in Dodger Stadium becomes a feel-good baseball story, but you get one possum in your stadium, and all of a sudden we're overrun by rodents. Oh, listen, the Angels have been the better part of the season being ridiculed because a possum wandered into the stands during the Freeway Series, and one concession stand might have been shut down for the health of it. But still, look at this. By the way, watch this. Why isn't this a feel-good story? Oh, and notice who's holding it up. Oh, it's a Dodger fan. Oh, a guy in an LA hat holding it up, which leads me to believe this is a plant. This is a plant. There is no way. I guarantee you that somebody snuck this possum into the stadium in an attempt to make the Angels look bad. Listen, Perry Managian and Kurt Suzuki have done all they can to make the Angels look bad. We did not need a Dodger fan sneaking his own personal possum into the stadium. Oh, look at me. This possum at the top of the stadium? This is where it's living? It's not near the food? This is it? Oh, rodent infestation. There wasn't somebody being like, oh, how cute. It was horrific. How can we live? How can we enjoy a baseball game when there's a possum? First of all, it's a possum. If you look at it, it freezes. That's what have you never heard the expression playing possum? This Dodgers fan clearly brought it into the stadium. Listen, we don't like going to Angel Stadium anyways when the Dodger fans are there. The Dodger fans are there to do three things: get drunk, start fights, and maybe watch a baseball game, and bring possums into the stadium. Listen, we're somehow the team with the rat problem, while the Dodgers became the team with the adorable raccoons. One franchise gets a Disney movie. The other is a full-blown wait, we got the Disney movie. Don't forget about it. Listen, you did this. You set it up. Come clean. Come correct. All right. In a matter of minutes, we're going to reset the start of the show. We're going to be talking about some football. And by football, I mean World Cup and soccer. This is the Jim Rome Show presented by FanDuel. We'll be back in just a matter of moments. Welcome back to the Jim Rome Show, presented by FanDuel. It's me, Adam Rank, sitting in for Jim Rome, final hour of the program. And for those of you who just witnessed Arsenal knocking off Belgium, I'm sorry, it was Spain that knocked off Belgium. And once again, it was Arsenal standout Mikel Merino with the winner, just as he eliminated Cristiano Ronaldo a couple of days ago. He sends my guy, Leandro Trossard, and Belgium into the great night as Spain is moving on. And it's incredible to me because last season, obviously, Arsenal wins the Premier League. They did it without Mikel Merino, who missed a significant chunk of time. And I remember saying it at the time that I really felt that with all the injuries that Arsenal had suffered at that point, missing out on Mikel was going to be a big obstacle for them to overcome. Now, obviously, they did it. They held on, even though they lost late in the season to Manchester City and Erling Haaland. They still managed to win the Premier League, even so not needing to win the final game of the season. Got to go to Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace, you all know from Ted Lasso, that was the home stadium for AFC Richmond. They go to there, they get the guard of honor. They go out there, have a big celebration and everything like that. Mikel Merino, though, if Mikel Merino had been healthy for the entirety of the season for Arsenal, they would have put that thing away very early. So when now you're looking at that moving forward to next season, I'm already looking forward to Arsenal, but there is some great World Cup going on. And of course, we're going to be talking about it here in the next segment. When Michael Bradley joins us, yes, he's the head coach of FC of the New York Red Bulls, and of course he was a team captain for the U.S. men's national team. We'll go into it a little bit more there, into more detail. I will make him suffer with all of my Arsenal takes. We will probably talk about some of the World Cup stuff that is going on, what has happened with Christian Pulisic, all the criticism he's been given over the last couple of days, and now there's been some pushback where it looks like he was battling through some injuries, but Carly Lloyd came out and she was saying, look, this wasn't necessarily about an injury in that final elimination game, but it had been a performance by Christian Pulisic over the course of the World Cup. And I think that does warrant some criticisms, but we will talk about that with Michael Bradley here in a couple of minutes. Do want to read some of the reaction, though, because it was only a matter of time before I turned this into Angels talk, which is, listen, it's my prerogative. Listen, I'm given an opportunity to host this show. We're going to talk wrestling. We're going to be talking Arsenal, obviously. And we talked a little bit of the Angels. Some reaction to that. Tupaz said those two, and I'm assuming he's referring to the Raccoons, were Irie's neighbors looking for leftovers. He didn't leave. Yes, that could very well be the case. I don't know how many leftovers they have there. There it is. Oh, the adorable trash panda, which, by the way, one of the Angels minor league affiliates is known as the Trash Pandas. So there's the Dodgers once again trying to take from the Angels. The Angels, the original LA franchise, the Angels, the team that's actually from here. They were not some Brooklyn Trolley Dodgers. They were actually born and bred in Los Angeles or the greater Los Angeles area. Once again, the Dodgers got to come in and take from the Angels, whether it's Trash Pandas, whether it's Shohei Ohtani. And this is another YouTube chat. Honestly, someone on the Angels should do prison time for having Ohtani and Trout on the same roster and doing absolutely jack with them, which is one of the most, put that anywhere, which is one of the most tired takes when it comes to the Angels. Do you understand how many games Ohtani and Trout actually played together? Both of them were battling through injuries. I don't know. I know a lot. I know this is tough for Dodger fans because I know you guys don't follow ball that much. Ohtani had Tommy John surgery twice during his 6 seasons with the Angels. His first season was the COVID year, and then he had the Tommy John surgery. And I remember telling a Dodger fan, I said, well, now that Ohtani is going to be a straight up DH as he's recovering from Tommy John, he's going to hit 40-plus home runs, to which that Dodgers fan said, Jason Hartilius, former producer of Good Morning Football Weekend, goes, whatever. There's no way. He's not that good. Again, this was the common refrain for most people, is that they did not think that Ohtani was that good. But Ohtani battled through injuries. Even as a pitcher, not even going through 2 Tommy John surgeries, he also battled through blisters and other things like that. So, yes, he did in it to go. And Mike Trout has been battling injuries over the last number of years as well. So I feel like it's disingenuous to really say like the Angels didn't do anything with them, because it's not like they played 150 games per year and we're going after it. If you want to have some valid criticisms of the Angels, you could talk about the lack of a minor league system. I think that's the biggest thing. The biggest issue with the Angels over the last number of years is that when Artie Moreno took over, and he made headlines and everybody loved him because he came out and said that he wanted to roll back the prices of beer, and he was able to do that. Like, oh, let's do that. Everybody's like, this is great. And you could go to Angel Stadium right now and pay $4.50 for a can of Miller Lite or something like that. It's affordable and it's safe, which is what Artie was talking about. Artie was all about that. They want affordability, which I'm in some respects too. There is something to be said about that. And it's not just the Angel fans. Try going to a Dodger game when they have a giveaway. Didn't they have to call SWAT on the Dodger fans like a couple of days ago because they're giving out some Freddie Freeman bobblehead, and people were there all day trying to get a hold of that. So don't act like this is an Angels only thing of like only Angel fans want free stuff. Now every fan base does it. But the biggest issue with the Angels over the last number of years is the lack of investment in the minor league system. There's a lot of things that have shown up. A lot of criticism. The Angels have been in trouble for this. They've been in trouble for other things. And so that was the big thing. Because Disney, say what you will about Disney, when they took over for the Angels, they did do a really good job of promoting the minor league system. And a lot of the success from the 2000s stems from the fact that the Angels were great in developing minor league talent. And even after Disney sold the team, the aftermath of that carried through for a number of years until Artie Moreno's neglect finally caught up with them after the 2014 season. And then year after year, the Angels were one of those teams that for a long time were the final team eliminated. And it always felt like they were eliminated by the Astros. And you look at what the Astros have done over the years and what the Astros got in trouble for. It's like, did the Astros only break that out in the regular season? Or was it something that they did did they do it in the playoffs, or did they also do it in the regular season is what I mean. So there's some questions there. So I think that if you want to have a valid complaint for the Angels, it's not that they didn't do jack with it. That's just, it's tired. The Wired response is they didn't invest in the minor league system. And this is a hill that I will die on. And you can go back and you can find one of the Angels podcasts that I was appearing on. When Freddie Freeman was a free agent, when he got cut loose by the Braves, Freddie Freeman wanted to play for the Angels. He grew up as an Angel fan. He went to El Medina High School. I know this is something that Tom is always marveled at, of like, yeah, the local high school in Orange that has 1,500 students had Freddie Freeman, one of them. And it wasn't like he went to Mater Dei or Orange Lutheran. He didn't go to Corona or someplace like that. Not one of the powers. But he went to El Medina High School. He wanted to play for the Angels. And I'm like, why are we not signing Freddie Freeman? They're like, we have Jared Walsh. And I'm like, I swear to Great Caesar's ghost himself, if Freddie Freeman is available to play for your team, you're like, hey, Jared Walsh, you're playing. Learn to speak left field, buddy. What are we doing? What do we do? You didn't want Freddie Freeman because we had one great half a year from Jared Walsh, and no disrespect to him, seems like a lovely person who's now playing independent ball somewhere. Which is a true story. I'm not doing that as a joke. I know he had some other issues and everything like that. Freddie Freeman was Freddie Freeman. Wanted to play for your ball club, and you're like, nah, we're good. We've got some other guy that we're like. No, you make room for Freddie Freeman. And yeah, Jared Walsh is playing in Mexico right now. And again, I know he had some other issues, and I hope mentally he's doing well. But from a baseball perspective, that is, and when he was an Angels representative in the All-Star game, his breakout season, and they put him in to left field, and he had an amazing catch. He went out there and he did this running, stumbling sort of catch, which was actually, it trended on Twitter for a couple of days and was like, look at this guy. He's a trained first baseman in left field. That's what you do with guys like Jared Walsh. When Freddie Freeman is available to you, that's what you do with Jared Walsh, is you teach him how to play left field and go about it that way. Like there were a number of missteps the Angels have made over the course of the season. I do want to go over, there was another one too. Wait, there was one I wanted to bring on because, where was the guy? So somebody made a joke, in one of the reactions, somebody made a joke about, we're all about tradition and honor. It's the Bears one. No, thanks, Alex. Thanks for taking that one away. I listened. It could have been anyone. You're like, he probably doesn't want to talk about the Bears. But in any event, somebody was like, oh, tradition and whatever. And I get it. Somebody was talking about the fact that the Bears are steeped in tradition. Welcome to the Indiana Bears. First of all, that's not happening. They're not going to Indiana, number one. Number two, there it is, Jim and Coachella. Oh, it's my guy, Jim and Coachella. Our team is all about tradition and the standard that is the National Football League signed the Indiana Bears. First of all, they would not be known as the Indiana Bears. They would be in one of the greater suburbs of Chicago. So that wouldn't be a thing. Also, the Bears started off as the Decatur Staleys. So they weren't even in Chicago, buddy. No. The thing of it is, and everybody asked me about, what would you do? What would you do if the Bears moved to Indiana? I'm like, I don't know. Wake up at 9 on Sunday morning and go watch them play on television like I always do. The stadium to me doesn't matter as much. I mean, it's just one of those things. I've been to Soldier Field to watch a game once over the last, 5, 10, whatever years. I went last season when they played Cleveland, when they played host to Cleveland in the coldest game in NFL history, or so it felt that way. I understand there's still a lot of concern. There's a lot of talk going on about this. And in some ways, the Chicago Bears have really botched this stadium situation. But make no mistake about it. The Chicago Bears own land in Arlington Heights. It's hard for me to believe. I'll never say never. But it's hard for me to believe that you spent all this money to purchase land in Arlington Heights and you're not going to do it. You have an opportunity to build your own stadium, to own it, to go out there and control the revenue and the revenue streams. And, of course, anybody who has been to one of the greater stadium complexes around the world, I think about, well, LA Live does a really nice job of it, but there's some other ones. Look at some of the other teams have done it. They build a village and there's everything around it. Foxborough, the New England Patriots do this. Yeah, one Patriot place where they've got the hotels and they have, the rail and all that stuff, the public transportation that takes it there. There's a lot of cool stuff. The Bears have an opportunity to do that. And they will still call themselves the Chicago Bears because everybody plays in suburbs and things of that nature. There's a show going on back behind the glass that I'm sure is... Alex, get on the mic. What is going on back there? What is happening?
Hello, Rank. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you.
I just ranked you. Let me try again. Hey, Rank.
Hey, what's up? Hey, Rank. What's going on?
We are just amped. We are geeked. We are excited for the list. That's all.
The list. Oh, there's going to be a lot of great excitement on the list. A lot of speculation. A lot of people are on the right track, which is not surprising because people who listen to the Jungle, not only are they bright, they're very attentive. I've done shows for the NFL Network, for other places, for years, for generations. There is something about the Jungle where they are so attentive to almost everything. A great example was last week when, forgive me, I think it was either Horace or it was Eric in the South Side, who made a joke about my son, the boy, wanting to stop by 7-Eleven for pizza, which was a throwaway line in an after hour that we did months ago, being used as a callback. So it doesn't.
Yeah, that sounds like Horace.
Right? Yeah, I'm pretty confident that it was. So it's going to be an exciting time. We're looking forward to that. By the way, looking forward to talking some soccer here in a matter of minutes. I know I gave a little bit of a preview of where I'm leaning with everything that's been going on with the U.S. men's national team, what's going on with the World Cup. But we're going to be talking to an actual bona fide expert. That's right. Michael Bradley will be joining us after the break, so we'll see you here in a few minutes. Please, I implore you, return.
You're listening to The Jim Rome Show.
Welcome back to the Jim Rome Show, presented by FanDuel. It is me, Adam Rank, and moments ago, Arsenal. I did it again. Arsenal did not. No, Spain has defeated Belgium. Listen, Mikel Merino did it once again. He sent Ronaldo home. Now he's sending home Kevin De Bruyne. And this has been a great week for me. But right now, we're going to be joined by the head coach of the New York Red Bulls, a former captain of the U.S. men's national team that ranks third all-time with 151 caps. He represented the United States in the 2010 and 2014 World Cups and has nearly 500 appearances playing in some of the biggest leagues in the world. Please welcome to the jungle, Michael Bradley. So great to have you here. Thank you for joining us here today. How you living?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
No, this has been a tremendous World Cup experience. I think about some of the great teams that you played for. You know, watching the remaining teams in the World Cup, was a round of 16 exit early for the U.S., or do you think that's accurate of where we rank amongst the best teams in the world?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question right now. Look, if you look back over the last 25, 30 years, you would say that round of 16 is about what we are and where we are in the global game at the highest levels of the sport right now. We all have big hopes and big aspirations that we can continue to close that gap. There's no doubt that we are, but it all gets tested when you get to a World Cup and the lights come on really bright and the margins get really small, and we can have a really good team and we can have a lot of really good players. But if on any given day we're not quite at our best, if we aren't at our sharpest, if we have a few too many guys who don't find the right way in the game, then it means that things are going to still be hard for us. And against a good team like Belgium, they can make you pay. So for me, there is no doubt that the game continues to grow in a big way in our country, that we are moving things forward, but we can also be, for sure, a little bit disappointed that things this World Cup didn't mean that we could take it a little bit further.
You know, when I look back at the opening game against Paraguay and then going out there, beating Croatia and doing all that stuff, like you said, the game against Belgium just fell the way that it did. But again, that's so many world-class players on that Belgian side. Is it one of those things like we shouldn't let that game kind of erase what the U.S. men's national team have been doing in the previous couple of weeks?
A lot of things can be true at once, right? It can be true that the team played really, really well for a lot of the World Cup. It can be true that the first 45 minutes of the opening match against Paraguay were at a really high level. It can also be true that when we got tested on a bigger day against Belgium, that we couldn't find the same level, and that's disappointing. That's disappointing for the players. That's disappointing for the coaching staff. That's disappointing for all of us as fans who are connected to U.S. soccer and the game in this country. And so there's no shame in that. There's no embarrassment in that. This is sports at the highest level. And when you play really good teams who also have, to your point, world-class players, then the margins get really tight. And so, as I said before, it's disappointing because we all had big hopes that playing a home World Cup could propel us to a place that we have never been. It didn't work this time around. That's life, that's sports. The game continues to grow. Our national team continues to improve and get better. Our players are playing at higher levels than they ever have, and we will continue to grow the game and make the gap with the top teams even smaller.
You know, it's been since 2002 since we've advanced to the World Cup quarterfinal when your father was the head coach. Have you had some conversations with him? Have you been talking about what this World Cup cycle has been like?
We talk all the time about the game. I've been lucky that he and I have shared the game in a lot of special ways from the time that I was little. And so the experience that we had together with the U.S. national team, our World Cup run in 2010 in South Africa, those are incredible memories and things that will stay with me forever. And so absolutely, when we watch games from this World Cup, when we watch our U.S. team play, we are constantly talking about different things, the game, the players, things that we see. And so that part's special.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, honestly, because it speaks to me because I coach my kids, and you have a unique perspective as a coach and the son of a coach. But does the current youth program, the development here in our country, is it going to provide the best results for the senior club level but also like at the youth level? Because like my daughter, she's in club right now. My boy still plays AYSO. Are we doing enough to get us to that next level where we can compete with teams like Belgium and Spain?
Again, a lot of things can be true at once. The sport, generally speaking, is in a better game than it ever has been. When you look at the investment from at all levels, when you look at the participation, when you look at the amount of just general interest in the game, what's going on at grassroots levels, the MLS academies, and all of these things are going in a good way. But we have to do better. We have to find ways to get to more neighborhoods, to discover more of the actual best players. We need to find a way to make the game more accessible to all kids and all families from all different areas. And so look, it's a challenge because our country is very big. There are so many different entities and interests. As I keep saying, things are going in a good direction, but we have to continue to find ways to push it all forward.
How did it work for you? I'm trying to imagine this. Now, I've had the privilege of coaching some great kids and seen some great kids. Were you an AYSO kid? Was that your upbringing, or did you start off in the club level or in a different circumstance?
Yeah, it's a good question. My football, soccer upbringing was unique, obviously, because I grew up in a house with a coach. And so I grew up, I was born in Princeton, New Jersey. My dad was head coach at Princeton University at that time. And so from the time that I could walk, I was on the sideline at his trainings. I was in the locker room. I was on the bus going to his games. He did a lot in the community at that time, even with different youth teams. And so I found a lot of different places to play and a lot of different teams to play on. And I was exposed to a lot of different environments. And so for me, those experiences played a big part in who I am today and in what I was able to do. So that part I was really fortunate in that sense.
Yeah, a lot of great opportunities and taking advantage of them. It makes a lot of sense. I want to turn a second here. Christian Pulisic, obviously getting a lot of criticism. Is it fair, knowing now that he had to battle through injuries? I know, and it's not just it's not just pundits or people like it's well-profiled, accomplished soccer stars who are coming after him. Is this criticism fair?
Christian is a really, really talented player, and the career that he's had in Europe, what he's done for the U.S. national team is at a really high level. What I would say is this: if we want to continue to grow the game in our country, if we talk about taking soccer to the next level, then part of that is more media attention and more discussion and a bigger spotlight. And I think, certainly when I was a player, I understood and now coaching, that again, for all of us inside the game, if we want the game to be bigger, if we want better TV ratings, if we want more people in the stadiums, if we want more focus from the media, then we have to be ready for that in good moments and bad moments. And so part of that is when you play in a home World Cup and things don't end in the perfect way, then people are going to have opinions. That's how things go. And so I know Christian, I know how I know how much he loves to play. I know how much he loves to play for the national team. I know how talented he is, and he'll find the right way to use this as big motivation and as big fuel for the next phase in his career.
Yeah, and you talk about you coaching and being a part of the New York Red Bulls and leading that side. Have you gotten used to coaching against Messi? I mean, this is insane for people who are watching Messi right now. What is it like coaching against Messi?
He is once in a lifetime. That's the only way that I can say it. I was lucky enough to be able to play against him a bunch of times as a player, and now to have coached against him. He is so special, and even now to see what he's doing in this World Cup at his age, how committed he is, how much he still loves to compete, the skill and the ease that he can make plays. Even at this point in his career, he's one of the best players in the world. He's been one of the best players at this World Cup. And so I think as a fan of the game, as someone who, when Argentina kick off tomorrow night, I'll be sitting at home on the couch with my family, and it's just honestly to enjoy his greatness, because it's once in a lifetime.
Yeah, and you've seen what he's been able to do. Obviously, he sold out the Coliseum when Miami came out to play LAFC, and it's incredible. Are we hoping that we're going to get a big push for the MLS? Like, this is going to be a wave of momentum? Because I feel like you hear a lot of people talking about, oh, I want to follow this team because Erling Haaland's been a star. But I think for the MLS, we got great players too, and there's a huge opportunity. Are we looking to ride this momentum?
We will, for sure. I say it all the time. The league is in a better place than it ever has been. Our national team is better and has a bigger profile than it ever has had. Our players are playing at bigger clubs and at higher levels than they ever have. And so in all ways, things are going in a really good direction. For all of us on the inside of the game, inside MLS, we have to continue to take advantage of every moment, and every single time we get somebody new coming into a stadium or somebody new turning a game on, we have to make sure that what they see is of the highest level, and we will continue to take it all even further.
Yeah, I hope so. It's funny too, because when people are watching TV and they're talking about Zlatan and how great he has been, like, it's bummed we never got to see him play. I'm like, bro, he played for us at the Galaxy. Like, what are we talking about? We had the opportunity, but this should be something that hopefully we can, continue to build, continue to go on. As I let you go, I got to ask you, I want one. If you can do it, I would appreciate it. But can we get a prediction? Like we've seen how great Spain's look. They're gonna have a tough match going up against France. Obviously, I'm just already penciling in Argentina and England. So who do we think is going to end up bringing home the World Cup?
You're putting me on the spot.
I have to.
I'm gonna go ahead and hope for a France-Argentina rematch in the final. I think that would be incredible. France has been amazing in this World Cup. I was lucky enough to be at MetLife last week when they played against Sweden, and they have managed to get to this point in the World Cup. And honestly, it looks like they haven't even put it out of second or third gear. But I am going to make a romantic choice and hope that Argentina can find another way to, with Messi, win another World Cup and write another chapter in the story and the legacy of Messi.
Yeah, it would be incredible. It feels like it's almost inevitable that those teams are going to be meeting up here in the World Cup. But you know what? A lot of great soccer to come, and I can't wait to see it. And I want to thank you so much for taking the time to join us here today. And again, I hope, I implore everybody, the MLS is awesome. So if anybody hasn't been out there and get in an opportunity to see it, I implore you, if you've enjoyed the World Cup, go watch the MLS when this is over. Thank you very much, Michael, for being here, and good luck to you for the rest of the season.
Thanks for having me. Really appreciate it.
Oh, the pleasure was all ours. There he goes, the great Michael Bradley of the New York Red Bulls, and of course, longtime captain of the U.S. men's national team. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, it is going to be that time we're going to be talking about the list. The list is back as we go through the final block here of the Jim Rome Show. Oh, yeah, by the way, Ask the Pros questions are going to be coming up. A lot of great stuff happening here, so be sure to come back. We'll be back right after this.
You're listening to the Jim Rome Show.
It's time to Ask the Pros, where you, the clones, get to ask me a question, and it's sponsored by O'Reilly's Auto Parts. Post your questions at Jim Rome using the hashtag AskThePros on X. Be listening now, and I'm going to answer a couple of them. Thanks to O'Reilly Auto Parts. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all of your auto care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Was that the wrong read? Probably. Well, we got it. All right. There it is. We got there. O'Reilly Auto Parts. They're awesome. All right. First one from Armin. Ask, hey, Adam, how did you become an Arsenal fan? Wore your rat possum take being the most fired up we've heard from you. I love that you used rat with double T's. Perfect. You know what? It's an interesting story because when I started getting into the Premier League, I really wanted to study it and get into it. I know this. I was looking at some teams, including the Bolton Wanderers. There was another team. Bolton ended up getting relegated that year. I've always told people, like, watch the Premier League. The team that you like will end up presenting itself to you. And that's what happened with Arsenal. So as I was watching some of these teams the following year, and this is after, I didn't see the Invincibles. This was after that. I'm like, I really like Arsenal. I think they're really cool. And so, you know what? Just started watching it. And there's something about watching a team. When you get up at 5 a.m. to watch a team play a sport, you get really attached really fast. And so I was really living and dying with Arsenal over the years. And so now, obviously, as Premier League champions, I'm more fired up than ever. Can't wait for the coming season, the transfer window, and all that stuff. But thank you so much for asking. Okay, the next one comes from our guy, Horse, who's got a question for Lorne. And he says, hey, Lorne, what the hell is Train Dog?
Hi, Adam.
Hello.
Well, I have this piece of media here I'd like to play for you if it's okay.
If we could.
There we go. There he is. There he goes. And then we also got this. We got here. We're waiting for the dog.
I forget. This is, for those of you who are not watching on YouTube, it's a literal train with a dog's face on it. So imagine that a dog is panting, and it's choreographed with a helicopter, a train. It's good. It's really good.
And then here, this is an ethical dilemma for Train Dog.
Yeah, Train Dog doesn't know how many people it's going to run over. Is it 5? Is it 1? What are you doing, Train Dog?
And then this is Train Dog at night. This is my favorite one.
Train Dog at night in the night sky.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you, Lauren. Yeah, if you haven't seen Train Dog, when you get home, if you're listening to the show, go Google Train Dog. I'm assuming that's the first thing that goes up. And our last Ask the Pro comes from my gal, Bella B. Hi, Adam. What does your hydration break consist of while guest hosting at Jim Rome? For Bella B, thank you so much for asking. Actually, they say, like, if you have multiple beverages working, you're a lunatic. Here's coffee. Here's a water bottle. There's actually a third one that was thrown away. This is like, if you're like the first question of, are you a sociopath? Here's the first. They're like, how many drinks do you have working at one time? Minimum of 3 at all times. I am unwell. So that's what it is. Thank you so much for your submission. So now is one of my favorite parts of the show. First of all, Up All Night still gets me. Thank you so much for playing that. I really love it. For anybody who's been a long time, this was the thing when I was driving up the 57 freeway, like working at the Improv or the Disneyland Hotel, when it was coming through, when Up All Night hit, you're like, oh, I wanted to get to my car. I knew that if I was in the car before Up All Night played, I was going to be able to listen to the last segment. So it's really cool. It really means a lot to me. So thank you so much for being here. Now, as far as the top 5 list goes, I was planning on doing the top 5 comedians, but then I realized it was a special birthday today. So happy birthday to Antonio Brown. Hey, speaking of psychopaths, and you think about this, what would have happened if Antonio Brown didn't go crazy? Remember this?
Catch it again.
I think it's one of the things that Tom Brady has brought to this team.
Antonio Brown. That's Antonio Brown without his uniform, we are told, without his jersey.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable times. So the list today, we've got to go over the top 5 what-if moments in NFL history. We can do the comedians at some other time. Listen, if I come back during the Christmas time break, then we can do it then. But today's list is going to be the biggest lifts. It was a snap decision, a single play that could have changed the course of history. We're going to cover it here right now. And number 5 for me, what if Jimmy Johnson remained as the Cowboys head coach? Now, obviously, the Cowboys went out there and eventually won a Super Bowl with Barry Switzer. But what could this dynasty have looked like with Jimmy Johnson? Now, obviously, we know the reclamation project that he made with the Dallas Cowboys, drafting so many great players. Think about his time in Miami when he drafted Zach Thomas, Jason Taylor, Patrick Surtain. He passed on Randy Moss in Miami, but could he have talked Jerry Jones into doing it? Perhaps he could have. So it is something to think about. Jimmy, I say Jimmy John, even if they didn't win in 94, I think they win a minimum of 5 Super Bowls. I think they have a Patriots-like run. I think they could have been pushing 6, perhaps 7. That is going to be one of the biggest ifs that haunt me. All right, at number 4, this one isn't unusual. This one isn't crazy like it usually is. But at number 4, what if Drew Brees signed with the Dolphins? Now, for a lot of you, you might not realize that Nick Saban and the Dolphins were going to sign Drew Brees, but they had to go through the medical check, make sure that the shoulder was okay, and instead opted for Dante Culpepper. That meant that Drew Brees needed to find another home and ended up in New Orleans. And for those of you, if you don't remember what it was like for the New Orleans Saints, owner at the time, Tom Benson, was already looking at other markets. I think San Antonio was the one that most experts would agree that's where he was likely headed if he couldn't have made it work in New Orleans. But Drew Brees signs there. He pledges to help rebuild the city of New Orleans. History of not only the NFL, but in general, is changed. And number 4 kind of leads to number 3. What if Eli Manning played for the Chargers? What if he just stuck with them? Now, obviously, he goes on to win 2 Super Bowls with the New York Giants. How does the NFL look like? What if, now let's just assume Ben Roethlisberger remains with the Steelers. Phillip Rivers, let's say he goes to the Giants. Does Phillip Rivers and the Giants beat Tom Brady twice? Because that's a whole nother, like, what does Tom Brady's legacy look like if the Patriots go undefeated? What about that? What about, does Eli win a Super Bowl in San Diego? Obviously, they came close a couple of times, but were unable to pull it off. Would Eli have been the difference? And there's even another question in that question. What if the Chargers in that draft just took Larry Fitzgerald? That's right. Larry Fitzgerald was the 3rd pick in that draft. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, it goes Eli Manning, Robert Gallery goes to the Oakland Raiders. Where were they playing there? And then it's Larry Fitzgerald at number 3 before the Giants end up taking Phillip Rivers at number 4 and they do the swap. I've asked LaDainian Tomlinson this before, and he did not like the question. I'm like, what if it was you, Drew Brees, and Larry Fitzgerald as a big 3? And obviously they had Antonio Gates eventually. What would that have looked like? So many different things that could have happened based on one decision. I never felt that they should have gone with Eli Manning. They didn't need him. They had Drew Brees. Drew Brees was fine. All right. Number 2, what ifs? What if Bo Jackson doesn't get hurt? Oh, what if Bo Jackson doesn't get hurt for the then LA Raiders? Yeah, they are the LA Raiders. They go into Buffalo. Speculation. Do we have the video right here? No, okay. I always wondered about this because it's one of those things, there we go, that Bo Jackson was so dynamic. I remember the day of would have been what, the 1990, 91 AFC championship game where they're going to play in Buffalo. And they were talking like, well, the Buffalo Bills won't believe that Bo Jackson is not going to be on the field until he doesn't show up. And it's just one of those things that perhaps, what if the Raiders end up beating Buffalo? They go to the Super Bowl. I'm trying to remember if this would have been the one against the Giants or the then Washington team. I don't know how that would have worked out, how that would have looked. Yeah, because the Cowboys won the following year. Was it 2 years? Maybe this is the 1990 season. So this would have been it could have been the Raiders playing the Giants in that Super Bowl. They could have had Bo Jackson, but of course history? Could he have done both things? Who knows? Like Bo Jack, I think of whenever there's a question about what if one athlete can be healthy forever, never goes down with an injury, and it always ends up being Bo Jackson. But at number one, speaking of injuries, pretty easy to see. What if Drew Bledsoe doesn't get hurt? What happens? What happens? We don't see Tom Brady. Now, Drew Bledsoe came in and played really well. Drew Bledsoe was one of the reasons why the New England Patriots were able to win the AFC Championship game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And there was a big question because remember, the year that Tom Brady and the Patriots win the Super Bowl, there was no bye week between the championship games and the Super Bowl because of the events that happened on 9/11. Bill Belichick had to make a snap decision that said, you know what, I'm going with Tom Brady over Drew Bledsoe, even though Drew Bledsoe played great in relief of Tom Brady, which leads me to believe that at some point Drew Bledsoe was not going to be on the New England Patriots. I truly believe that if it wasn't in this season, that Tom Brady was going to be the eventual quarterback of the New England Patriots. Well, that's going to do it for me. Hopefully I get to come back one more time. We'll do that comedians list. Sorry, Bella B. I got you. We won't leave you hanging. By the way, thanks to everybody who made this happen. So many great people behind the scenes who allowed me to have this opportunity to fulfill an absolute media bucket list item for me, just being on the Jim Rome Show and doing all that stuff. But big thanks to everybody here, for Alvy, Alex, Lauren, Cindy was here today, and Iggy. Sorry, oh my gosh, Iggy. Forgot Iggy. No, Iggy was awesome today too. Thank you so much. Appreciate everybody. Jim will be back on Monday. Be good.